Hola! I am going to talk to you today about something that I haven't thought about for years. I'm a massive Steve Coogan fan. There he is. I love Alan Partridge. One of my favourite things to do is to listen or read or watch something to do with Alan Partridge. Steve Coogan from not far away from me, growing up, similar backgrounds. Some might say similar voices. And this is one of his lesser known characters, the Tony Ferrino Phenomenon. Oh, Tony Ferrino. Trying to move away from Alan Partridge at this point, really. This is on, we're going to watch this together. This is on Amazon Prime. It's free, I think, at the moment, or it's 99p. It's worth a 99p on Amazon Prime at the moment. It's a BBC show called the Tony Ferrino Phenomenon. And I'm just going to give you a little overview of some of the sort of things about him and tell you a little bit about him. So he can't pronounce the word phenomenon, so that's always a good start. Having said that, I think he usually puts an M on the end. This show that he did, think of like his dad, Julio, that kind of Latin lover, singer. I'm not sure this was as popular as it's almost impossible to be as popular as Alan Partridge in the UK, I guess. But famous people were on the show at the time, people like Kim Wilde and Mick Hucknall and Gary Wilmot. Some of the songs are quite iffy, like Fishing for Girls, Short Term Affair. They're obviously comedy songs, comedic songs. And if you've ever seen Steve Coogan live, you'll know that a lot of his stuff ends up having musical moments in them. And I know that for a fact when I went to see Alan Partridge Stratagem, it was a bit disappointing. That felt filled out by songs, whereas this is the focus of it is the songs, from what I remember. This actually won the Silver Rose of Montreux in the music category, and the rumor was that the judges thought it was genuine. So let me just explain some of the songs to you, some of the names. There's Sunday for Me, Taxi Taxi, Fish and Seafood, Papa Bendy, which is his Eurovision Song Contest entry, Short Term Affair, Stuttering Sadie from Stuttgart, Silence of the Lambs, Fishing for Girls, Valley of Our Souls, Bigamy at Christmas, and Other Men's Wives. Help Yourself, Just Help Yourself, that one, and What Is Life. Now, as you can see, Steve Coogan was dressed in a very stereotypical 80s, even though this was done in the 90s. So let's get started. Let's press play on this bad boy. It's got a 7.4 on IMDb. It's 52 minutes long, I believe. It's very short. It doesn't say who the director is, but it used to be Henry Normal, did a lot of his stuff. In the video, we're going to watch the Tony Ferrino Phenomenon. And I'm going to press play for that whenever you see play on the screen. Play movie. It's not really a movie, more of a comedy special, but yeah, you got the idea. So it's 50 minutes and 6 seconds. Rated 12, it's telling me here. It's got subtitles. And Alan's doing the voice. Steve's doing the voiceover. And it's having like a stream of celebrities walking in to the BBC to watch it. Obviously, these are not this is not really happening. So you've got like Elton John and Bruce Willis and all these big names walking in. Don Johnson there walking in to watch this. Tom Clancy.
Hi, my name is Tony Ferrino, and welcome to my phenomenon.
Welcome to my phenomenon. So we're seeing all kinds of supercars here. So there's always some part of Steve in these. Steve's a big car guy, so straight away we see Ferraris and things like that. And now we're seeing like a kind of cheesy camp dancing on top of all of America, London's tourist attractions, red buses. He's pointing at a soldier on a horse. people dancing. There's a big Always Ultra advert on the other side. It says Tony Ferrino on one side of the bus, and then on the other side it says Always Ultra feminine hygiene products on the other side. That's a good start. So they're going to the old BBC television centre, which I don't know if it's still there, but it's certainly not the centre of BBC anymore. I'm not sure if it's. I think people live there now. Now it's all based out of Salford Quays in Manchester, the BBC. It should be closer for Steve, I guess, but he probably lives in London now. Actually, I think he may live in the Lake District or something like that. I see him on local TV talking about the standards of the local water. So we've got the kind of very, very 70s Eurovision style dance troupe all in the same, like in a lime green dancing to introduce us to Tony Ferrino for the first time, or live for the first time.
Please welcome Mr. Tony Ferrino.
And Steve Coogan is doing the voiceover, introducing himself, which actually a lot of comedians do now anyway. If you know, it's like, welcome to the stage, me. Well, they don't say me, they say the name of the person. I just think it's a bit strange. Just wrote someone into it, didn't it? As great as he is with voices, he can't escape his own voice a lot of the time. He's good at some impressions, but like Ronnie Corbett and the ones he did for Spitting Image and things like that, and Michael Caine. But he's singing as Tony Ferrino, so you'd think he would be like have a kind of more of a Latin sound, but he's singing I'm a Phenomenon. I mean, he's got a good voice. He can carry a tune, but you can hear Steve Coogan's natural voice in it, which for me takes you out of believing him as this Latin lover, as you can see down to my right on the screen. You know, he's got the whole gear on. He's dressed up that way. Now he's absolutely out of breath now from carrying that note at the end. Did you ever see this at the time, the Tony Ferrino Phenomenon? There's a bit where he speaks for ages. I remember this. He speaks for ages, and I think and he goes, and that is Portuguese. And you think he's going to say Portuguese for something, and he just goes, that is Portuguese, and leaves it.
When I arrived in your country, I was thrilled like a boy with a new ass. Immediately, I got off the plane, I kissed the ground, and call me crazy, but I swear the ground kissed me back. Because, you know, my favorite place is England.
This is kind of true. This, like, a foreign person like Enrique or, I keep saying Enrique, Julio or Latin Lover kind of singer, or even Engelbert, opening from Britain, they're saying, like, something at the beginning of the show about how great it is to be here back in England, or live in England, you know, what a great place it is, and even Barry, I don't seem to remember Barry Manilow doing that a lot on Des O'Connor, just how great it is to be back here in jolly old England.
The cow white moose, and he said, if they come through passport control, yes, I will. But there was an understanding, there was respect. Now, for my next song,
he has to stop himself doing his Alan Partridge mannerisms a little bit, I think. Big Saxondale is further away because his face is covered with like grey beard hair and looks a bit different. This one, I think he's finding it hard to detach himself from himself and from Partridge. It's an absolute great podcast called the Monkey Tennis Podcast, which covers all APU, Alan Partridge Universe stuff. It's really, really good. And on that, it often says, you know, is that Steve or is that Alan? So the joke essentially is that this program is a word he can't say, yet he says it a lot. He just said his jacket is like this woman Maria, easy to slip into. So you get the jokes are kind of quite broad because obviously he's outdated. The joke is he's outdated and sexist and, you know.
Well, Tony, I'd better go off and see if your guests have arrived.
Who? You know, she's not careful. She'll be the fourth Mrs. Ferrino. No, actually, no, there is a fourth already. She's out shopping, probably. You know, since I arrived, it is like a merry-go-round. I've not
The
had
fourth
time to
Mrs.
flush the toilet.
Farina.
Man's life is so quick.
And it's when he does things like that. So when he's doing the Farino stuff,
Shit it out.
it works well. But then he goes, she's probably out shopping.
My schedule
Probably.
is
Like,
crazy, non-stop.
that's what takes you out of it a bit.
Monday, sauna with Sarah, then Tuesday.
Sort of, this song is just basically like a little bit of harmonica, like where listing a load of women's names, which is a good kind of way, I think, of having a hit song to a certain degree. You can get as many people's names in the song as possible, but those people might buy it. Cleans his car on Sunday. So he's kind of now talking about Sundays being like a day for washing the car and chilling out, which is a very Partridge thing. I was like, but in this, it's like the other 6 days of the week, you know, that the ladies can have him, but skiing with Cindy on Thursday. Sharing a jacuzzi with Susie. It's alright, it's okay. It's not like roll around laughing. I don't know if the character would translate to, say, a sitcom. You know, it's like Partridge is going in so many different directions. I don't know whether this would translate into anything other than a one-off concert, maybe. Maybe that was all of the intention. I mean, we're what, 10 minutes in, or 8 minutes in, and already it's all right to listen to the song. The song's quite funny. But the song, I guess, goes against the Latin lover thing. It's like he likes, you know, it's not like we were making love on. I guess, to be fair, this predates Craig David. If you remember, he chilled on Sunday. This is essentially what this song is all about as well. About Tony Ferrino chilling on Sunday. He's got all these girls lined up for the rest of the week. But I guess Craig David, it was just one girl that he was having it off with. He just wants 24 hours. He's just trying to reason with him. It's quite reasonable to have 24 hours off. What, 24 hours off from lovemaking? So this isn't filmed live because it's.
You know, I don't think she would object if I was to say she was a wild woman. She is.
It's cutting off to like different vignettes now.
Kim Wilde.
Oh, and he brings Kim Wilde in now. Now I used to quite, you'll know Kim Wilde, Kids in America. She was always on Look In magazine. I think her dad was a singer as well as Marty Wilde. She was quite attractive, I think. When I was a kid, I used to think, oh, she's a nice looking lady. Obviously, that's the maximum you think when you're like 9 or something. But she was still, I mean, this is in the 90s and she's still doing well for herself. She's a great compliment coming from one as beautiful as myself.
I'm afraid you've either got it or you haven't.
But I guess they're going to sing together. I think she's a pretty good singer as well. I quite liked her stuff.
Now, Kim, they say that gentlemen prefer blondes.
They say blondes have more fun.
And are you a natural blonde?
Are you a gentleman?
Sure.
Oh, so it's like banter now. It's like scripted banter.
Can we start again? Look, it doesn't matter about the color of the hair on your head, you know. I mean, as long as, how can I put this in a gentlemanly way? So long as the collars and cuffs match.
So he's just asked her if she is a natural blonde, and he's.
You look absolutely marvellous. Not grey hair on your head, which isn't bad for a guy of your age.
Even the dog has gone like, this is going down like a bit of a lead balloon. Now, obviously, a lot of it would be classified now, I guess, as like cringe comedy or awkward comedy. That's Alan Steve's stock and trade. But it just, so his brothers are called Herod and Perron. And then he's showing a little clip of see, I quite like this, like a little black and white clip of them singing a song called Fish and Seafood in Portugal in like old traditional dress. The guy on the left who's in the band with him. So that's Tony Ferrino, the main one. The guy on the left looks like it could be Simon Day. I'm not sure. It's like a little sea shanty, and the picture's like in and out and stuff. And I don't think it is Simon Day. It's interesting the people who he had like kind of working on his shows and stuff. I remember there being a live one, and Simon Pegg was on it. I mean, a lot of this is kind of right on my street because it kind of reminds me of Eurovision. I love Eurovision. And then a guy's just the presenter of the show.
What happened to your brothers?
Well, unfortunately, Herod is now dead, and
Herod.
Iran is missing, presumed dead.
But he might be alive.
He's missing, presumed dead, one of his brothers. She goes, oh, so he might be alive. And he's like,
March the 19th,
no.
1980. For that day, my life in the world of music was to change forever. I'm talking, of course, about the 1980 Euro.
Reminded me a little bit of the Bee Gees, seeing the three Ferrino brothers there. Oh, and here he is representing Portugal in Eurovision. So this is better. I like this. It's like a spoof Eurovision clip. And he's got a gold jacket on, a big perm, a big massive moustache. Yeah, really good. Just like da, 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 da. Hey, da, 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 da. Hey. Now the Eurovision's a bit more high concept and kind of a lot of it's like high camp, I guess now, and more sexual stuff in there. But like back around this time, like he's doing late 70s, 80s, that he's kind of showing, is a bit more like da 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 da. Hey, da, 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 da. Hey, well, you know, like sminky pinky la da da da, like just nonsense songs. Papa Bendy, this one was called by Papa Bendy, and it's a good opportunity for Steve Coogan to do his impression of the great Terry Wogan. And they won. Papa Bendy won. He's going like this because he won to all the other competitors, like up yours kind of thing.
Top notch. It was a great moment, yes, Kim?
That was indescribable.
Now, Kim, I have a little gift for you. It is a hand-carved Portuguese jewelry box.
It's just giving her a jewelry box that is essentially a massive, massive dong.
Very good screw.
Sure, it will give me a lot of pleasure.
Remind you of me?
Olive.
Kim, it's lovely to talk to you, but the audience, they don't want to hear you speak.
Do you know what, though? I think sometimes the worst part of the live Alan Partridge stuff is sometimes when he gets people on and he's interviewing them, it's not always like that good. But anyway, he's leaving now. He's going to go and sing, and I think Kim is going to sing with him. And the intro of it definitely sounds like a Julio. I know quite a bit about Julio, only because my late auntie, she absolutely loved Julio Iglesias. Julio and Rod Stewart, those were her guys. She's a good sport here, Kim Wilde singing. I'm going to say I'm probably more interested in watching Kim Wilde sing with him than I am of the potential of Mick Hucknall or Gary Wilmot. Gary Wilmot gets a mention quite a lot in Alan Partridge stuff as a kind of remnant from the 80s. I wonder how old they both were in this song. I sure could do the maths, but let me have a look at what it says for cast. So, Steve Coogan playing Tony Ferrino, Kim Wilde, self, Mick Hucknall, self, Gary Wilmot. Oh, Peter Bainham was one of the brothers, and the other brother was Martin Coogan. Really, we don't know him so much. I think he did a bit of music, and he did. I think he was on an early iteration of Top Gear, but other than that, there isn't anybody else. You know, the Peter Bainham, who you might know from He's gone on to write. He wrote the Borat film, or part of Borat film, or he definitely did something to do with Ali G or Borat. He did. He's writing a few cartoon films. He also was on Fist of Fun. He was like a really gross Welsh guy who would always have like weird diet tips. Somewhere. It's more Tom Jones, this one, to be honest. Well, I hope you're watching this along with me. I think you can find it on YouTube as well, the Tony Ferrino Phenomenon. She's a good sport. If you think she did comic relief songs, Kim Wilde, as well, with Smith and Jones, Mel Smith and Griffiths Jones. Oh, we've got the sax now. That'll be a bit of saxophone. I mean, I feel it's still underutilized in a lot of pop music. All I can think of is Clarence from the E Street Band. It's the same with the banjo. Like, banjo is a good instrument too. Like, it doesn't get used in pop that much, just more in folk and stuff. There's a smell in the air.
Try to be strong somehow.
I'll start a brand new life.
So they kind of, it's all about them splitting up.
Please don't tell my wife.
And then he's like, please don't tell my wife.
Stop loving you.
Please.
Please.
Please don't tell my wife.
Please. Don't tell my wife.
We must never meet again.
Short-term affair. She's belting the hell out of this, Kim Wilde. And then he's just done a massive, like, what did he call, you know, what's that band called? He did, like, it was, oh man, this is going to drive me mad. They got, like, proper high-pitched 50s. So they did the song September. I can't remember the name of them.
Invade the Malvinas, so that good old Maggie Thatcher could get back into number 10 with a big gotcha. But in my country, I had invaded the pop charts, remaining at number 2 for 16.
A little dig at Margaret Thatcher then, who had just gone out of power, I guess.
I'd like to sing it for you now, but I'm not.
I mean, if you think politically, it was a weird time because there wasn't as much of I mean, there was definitely. It wasn't as tumultuous as it is now, and obviously, I don't know, like someone like John Major is like just, like the big thing you could say about him was he was bland. Now you'd be like, well, he isn't responsible for this. I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the political figures weren't as despotic as they are like now. Obviously, we've not got that choice. He's just complimented somebody on their jokes. She's got these big beer steins. And he's doing a kind of Brotherhood of Man 70s Eurovision type song. It makes me think if he's going back and doing like old like 70s Euro pop stuff, and we're only 20 minutes in, and I know he's trying to balance it up a little bit. I feel like he's lost a lot of the Latin lover stuff already. Now he's just talking about basically shagging his way around the world. Stuttering Sadie, even I got it wrong, I stuttered a second. Stuttering Sadie from Stuttgart, and she is literally wearing like a stormtrooper's helmet. I guess we weren't known for subtlety, were we? I would like to have a big beer stein. Maybe I'll go on eBay later on and see what's cracking. Stammering Mandy in France. Oh, okay. Stuttering Cindy in Stuttgart. She makes me feel like a man. Miscellaneous muttering. Simultaneous stuttering. I mean, it is quite cleverly written, but again, it's not great. And maybe we're judging it to incredibly high standards, because for me, like, Alan Partridge is one of those consistently for years and years and years. Yes, there's ups and downs, and I'll say Stratagem that I saw live a couple of years ago was probably a down. But like the recent podcasts are really good from the Oast House. Since the Gibbons brothers have been writing it, we've got some really, really good stuff as well. And I guess this is his kind of wilderness years. He escaped like an awkward quick kiss to the girl who was the German woman. And now we're having a look at his gold records. I don't know, it's weird. I don't feel like he's fully committed.
I have a big package. But you know, hey, well, what's going on here? What is this?
I like these kind of little skits and stuff that are in between, like the old variety shows. And I think the more they do them in America was like Ronan Martin's laughing, you know, somebody's head had popped through a wall and they'd be like, hey, I don't know, like tell a little joke. Oh, and he's getting presented with a platinum disc. Congratulations, Tony. What a surprise.
So how many is that I've sold?
Over 1 million copies.
1,256,000. 100,256,000, like it is such a surprise to him. No, he's hanging it on his wall, which also happens to be in the studio.
She is one hot dog. Nice buns. A joke, of course.
See, the jokes he says that are like out of time Latin lover jokes could easily pass as Alan Partridge ones. Like he's like, she is one hot dog. Nice buns. I kid, of course. And then there's just like an awkwardness. It reminds me a bit of like Knowing Me, Knowing You, the series where it was done in front of an audience.
And of course, opening soon is Andrew Lloyd Webber's Reservoir Dogs with Shane Ritchie and Michael Ball.
Shane Ritchie and Michael Ball in Reservoir Dogs opening at the cinema. I was just thinking about this actually, how, you know, people don't get the idea, like, you know, the classic Simpsons joke, stop the planet of the apes, I want to get off. The joke being that like a big musical property, a big musical theatre production, they wouldn't do that for like a pop culture film or something so egregious. Now everything at the theatre is like Shrek the Musical or is of a film. So like this idea of Reservoir Dogs by Andrew Lloyd Webber is probably not a million miles away from what you might see in some ways these days. It's a little devoid of, it's a bit like, I guess it's a bit like Hollywood in the sense of it's like, it's more, well, we know that if we put on Back to the Future the musical, will absolutely fill the theatres, and that's really what we need to do to survive. So we'll do that rather than like promote a new play by somebody that we've not heard of. So now he's got like some girls, some women dressed as cats. I think he's talking about them. They've caught a bird and ripped it apart or something, but he's trying to make it sexy. I mean, he's put a lot of thought into all these songs, for sure.
Crazy killer never stops. Turns you all into lamb chops. That's why it's called the silence.
It's like he's written a song called The Silence of the Lambs and Killing Lambs and stuff. But like somebody who's maybe not seen Silence of the Lambs. Or he's not quite understood. He thinks it's more like a light entertainment thing. So he's got some 3 guys coming out like dancing in the Hannibal Lecter things now. I guess that juxtaposition of like these girls dressed as cats and then the Hannibal Lecters and they're doing the high kicks and stuff, is it doesn't quite make sense like that he would make a light-hearted song about it. This is an extract from his musical that he's going to do with it. Again, not unbelievable that somebody would do that now. Yeah, that's okay. I do sometimes feel like the musical stuff with it, with Coogan, is sort of tossed off a bit more than the stuff that isn't.
The secret police will have come to interrogate your father. That was a very funny joke in my country. My father would tell that joke and people would always laugh, but then they were tied to a chair. Yes, it was a very, very, very funny joke, believe me. And my special guest has got plenty more like that, I can tell you.
Oh, and this
Please
is where
welcome Mr. Britain's #1 funny guy. Who else but Gary Wilmot?
so he brings that Gary Wilmot. So Gary Wilmot was a kind of light entertainment guy in the UK, still is, I suppose. Used to be on Saturday Night TV, impressions, singing, and then he went into musical theatre and did really well. I think he did like Shitty Jitty Bang Bang and things like that. And Alan Partridge mentions him a lot. So obviously, actually, he's playing off Tony really well here, because if you were making like a British Rat Pack of the 80s, Gary Wilmot would be in it.
Rules are there to be broken. So are legs. I joke, of course.
They're competing over this woman. And now they're like, went to do a high five, and then they're kind of doing the like, grabbing hold of each other.
Oh, yes, good one. I'm so sorry, Maria. Please forgive me. Oh, this is a beautiful ring.
It's an engagement ring.
You're engaged?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
You know, Tony, we share the same two hobbies.
Did you know she was engaged?
No.
Neither did I.
You know, Tony, we share the same two hobbies.
Yeah, sure.
Turns out his hostess on the show is engaged.
Girls. Wouldn't it be great if we could combine the two?
No, but Tony, that's not possible.
Gary, this is television. Anything is possible.
You know, Tony, I went deep sea fishing last week.
What do you do that for?
Just for the halibut.
Oh, bad jokes. Went deep sea fishing just for the halibut. So the fishing, they're combining their two favourite things, girls and fishing. What song do we get? Girls for Fishing for Girls.
And I'm holding it tight.
Obviously, he's holding his rod tight.
I've got my tackle.
He's got his tackle.
You think that they'll bite?
Yeah, we're going fishing. Fishing for girls.
This is good, Fishing for Girls. This is funny. This is the sort of thing. This is enhanced by somebody getting it completely what they're doing here. Underrated. Became a bit of a punchline, almost thanks to Alan Partridge. But it's good, Gary Wilmot. Fishing for Girls. I wonder if you can get the CD for this. River called love. Will you grab my lunchbox? I'd rather not. I got the biggest laugh of the night, and he was going, well, Marty was like, that's not an old trout, that's my wife. This is good. I like this. They play off each other well. But he's committed to it as much as Steve Coogan is. Catch thick ones. I guess they can be totally politically incorrect because he's so out of time, isn't he? He's even out of time in the 90s because he's a relic from the 80s. And I don't think they play that up enough, really.
I suppose we just have to go looking for girls.
And fishing for
Fish? Have you caught anything?
just some dead puppies in a sack.
They're puppies in a sack. Why?
Just crabs.
He's got crabs. Oh man. That was the best bit of the whole thing. Big up Gary Wilmot. Big up yourself.
My next guest is 78 years old. She's my #1 fan. She buys all my records. She watches all of my shows.
Gonna meet one of his fans now, 78 years old.
Last week she strangled my dog. She's a little bit crazy, but I love her. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother.
Oh, it's his mum. So obviously she's got the headscarf. She's dressed all in black.
Who would have thought that I emerged from between the legs of this little old lady? No. Herod is dead, mother. He died in a car crash in 1975.
Herod.
Maria, how engaged are you?
Very.
That's great. It's great to see that that still exists. You know, it's the custom in my country that when a person is engaged, that she should have one last sex with the first man that congratulates her. Congratulations.
That is a custom in my country when you're constantly being propositioned by a man you don't like and who's been trying to put his hand on your ass all week in rehearsals to say, no, thank you, you're physically repulsive, and sit on that.
He's just being rejected on.
The best offer I've had all day.
She's just told him to
Please, Mama, stop crying.
swivel.
He's not coming back. His head was 40 yards from his body.
Mother's still crying there with the loss of the son. He's just reminded her, but he's more interested in getting off with the woman who's the hostess. There's a custom in my country for when somebody's engaged to for the woman to sleep with the first man who congratulates her, and then just so congratulations. She's like, no, but anyway.
Only she could sing. But I can sing. And perhaps the best thing I can do is sing her a little song. She loves Christmas because at Christmas she gets to strangle a turkey. But Christmas is, of course, a time to remember those less fortunate than yourselves, like this crazy guy.
Well, we've got a Christmas song now. We've got a bit of everything.
Peace on earth, goodwill to all men. Jesus is born in Bethlehem. To think of the man who marries two wives.
This is not too bad.
He's in April when Christmas arrives. Once there was a time, everything was fine.
Got the sleigh bells going.
And two kids, though I found life is to live. I got so much to give, but there ain't enough of me to go round and round and round. Bigamy at Christmas.
Oh, it's Bigamy at Christmas, this one. So he's got the studio split into two. So he's trying to split himself between two boys who are his sons with dark hair and a dark-haired wife, and two daughters with blonde hair and a blonde-haired wife on the other side. Pablo and Steve.
Christmas shopping list for a bigamist is a very, very, very long one indeed. Christmas.
Nearly everything's going off to like almost like a Eurovision kind of song. Bigamy at Christmas.
I also married Natalie, Susan, Jill, and Ruth.
Oh, he's married to 5 of them.
2 is quite enough. Come, sing along. Bigamy at Christmas. What a night to
The kids are singing along Bigamy at Christmas. I'm not quite sure why we're covering every type of song that there is. I think the overwhelming thing is this is good. The songs are, well written and well performed. There's just that certain something that's missing. Mortal Kombat for Pablo.
And for me, just what I wanted. A wooden thing.
That joke dropped a bit flat. He just got a wooden thing.
Bigamy is illegal. Merry Christmas.
I wonder if he had to say bigamy is illegal at the end of the song. And here we are, back to another studio track. The songs, I think it cuts to the songs separately. He's probably recorded those separately.
How can I introduce my special guest? Well, if I said he was a top-notch international entertainer with millions of hits all over the world, you might think I was introducing myself. But let me give you another clue. If I was asked to describe the color of his hair, I would say that it is simply red.
If I was asked to describe the colour of his hair, I would say it was simply red. Mr. Simply Red. Right. The power of music. How was Mick Hucknall such a international ladies' man?
I bet you didn't know whether to wear it or brush your teeth with it. Tell me simply. I understand that.
Sorry, it's not simply. It's Mick.
He's calling him Simply.
I say Mick to your friends, simply to your fans.
No, just Mick.
So tell me, just Mick.
Just forget the just.
Just can we start again? Who are you?
My name's Mick Hucknall. Hucknall. Yeah.
So tell me, Mick Hucknall.
Hucknall.
I understand that you were pretty big last year, and
I understand you were pretty big last year.
album out is called the best of Mick Hucknall.
No, that would be simply red.
Whatever. And that retails at
$14.99.
and a little bit cheaper for the cassette. Yeah.
That's right.
The cassette is a little bit cheaper than the
If
CD.
I can give you a little bit of advice, if you want to make it big in Portugal, I would change the color of your hair because the only people in my country with ginger hair are clowns.
The only people in Portugal with red hair are clowns.
I sold 5 million albums in Portugal.
So,
Maria, where are you engaged to?
He's an international entertainer.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen him in Covent Garden juggling with his balls. What's his name?
Mick Hucknall.
so his hostess is engaged to Mick Hucknall, I think.
I'm so pleased. When did this happen?
This week during rehearsals.
Fantastic. It's unbelievable. On my show. And I thought you were rehearsing. Don't you just hate this
So
guy?
they met on his show.
I do. I really hate him.
Do you want to just get on with the song?
Yeah, okay. See how much you're concentrating in rehearsals. Huh? Hey, colors and cups.
This collars and cuffs joke that he said with Kim Wilde before is like a repeated joke that isn't quite good.
Love is like
No, he's literally doing just help yourself.
You want to taste and help yourself.
the sweetest things are there for you.
Help yourself.
Take a few. That's what I want you to do.
It's a bit strange them singing it to each other.
We're always told repeatedly.
Is it has Steve Hucknall? Has Mick Hucknall got a good voice? You just want strange thing about them, Simply Red and all. Mick Hucknall was one of the people in that performance at the Free Trade Hall when Sex Pistols played, and I think like the legend is that there was like a lot of people there who went on to have bands who like the Buzzcocks and who else was there? Was Ian Curtis there from Joy Division? Mick Hucknall was there. I mean, this isn't. I don't know if where the comedy comes from this because it's just the song being sung by Tony Ferrino and Mick Hucknall. Just play that guitar, but he hasn't got a guitar.
Yeah.
There isn't a guitar playing. And it's brass music? I don't know.
My heart has love enough for two.
More than enough for me and you.
I'm rich with love, a millionaire. I've so much, it's unfair. Why don't you take a share?
And now the woman's come on and she's like dancing, and Mick's taking over and pushing Torino to the side. He's showing off now, like making Tony look small, and Tony can't sing as well as him. He had to get the last line in even after the music was finished. He gives his microphone to Tony and then just walks off.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Simply
Simply Hucknall.
Hucknall. Simply Ginger. Oh, he's doing the old classic, like, tidying up after the performance in the old brown jacket and the flat cap. So I guess we're near the end now, the denouement of our show. Oh, isn't the guy playing piano the guy who's Glenn Ponder from the Alan Partridge? Just playing some classical music.
Do you ever ask yourself those really big questions like, what is life? Did I ever tell you about my life?
Off everything comes, he's wearing like a white suit.
It was the lowest point of my life. I was staying at the Royal Crown Plaza in Wolverhampton. I just performed on Pebble Mill and it had gone badly. It was late. I was in my hotel room alone. There'd been a mix-up.
So he's doing like a kind of sad song on it, sat on a stool.
I felt more alone than
Finish the
any time
show.
in my life. As I stared down at the remains of my club sandwich, I asked myself, what happened to that lovely little boy who wanted nothing more than to sing for the dictator and help his daddy inform on communist sympathizers?
That's the best joke he's done so far. What happened to that little boy who wanted to help his daddy inform on communist sympathizers?
With the king of Egypt.
That's the kind of like, where did it all go wrong kind of song now, you know, looking up at the disco ball and...
With the Duchess of York. I had a thing.
It doesn't sound unlike, I'll be your hero, baby. Like, slowed down a bit. It's like, would you dance if I asked you to dance? That kind of thing.
I drank champagne.
This is a bit like his sort of Portuguese version of My Way, I guess.
And I watched
Or like the Elvis comeback special.
from Earth, Wind and Fire.
I think most people will probably walked away from this show who were in this audience and gone, it was okay. You know, it was okay. He's an incredible performer, you know. It must be, I'm not saying it must be hard, but it's interesting to be defined by one character for so long, isn't it?
I've hunted killer whales and dolphins with the Emperor Hirohito.
Basically, this is all things that he's done with dictators and people around the world of sketchy kind of backgrounds. Basically, I dined with kings, but I dined with dictators.
And broke the nose of Macaulay
What do you guys think of Steve Coogan as a performer? Do you like the other things he did? The Saxondale, Dr. Horrible's House of Terrible. I always get that mixed up because there's the actual film. That's really good. That's underrated. Coogan's run. Obviously, he's done a few films as well and a few serious films. I haven't seen the Jimmy Savile thing he did recently. This is the big, show closing extravaganza. I mean, it does make me kind of a bit nostalgic for like variety shows, but then when variety shows were on in the 80s and you have things like this, you'd find them interminably boring. So that's why your comedians always stood out, because they'd wake you up a little bit. They'd come staggering on or making a deliberate mistake or making the host look a bit silly, and it would kind of wake you up a little bit. You get these really long songs by people like Julio and things like that. It's just like, oh, geez, when's it going to be over? You were kind of captive to whatever was on TV. Never mind the Des O'Connor show. I thought it was good because Des was such an interesting personality, like a good interviewer, quite a funny guy, a decent singer, just a nice. He kind of had that big time host thing that you felt like you were watching an American chat show, or what you'd imagine an American chat show to be like because you'd never seen one. He's essentially sort of like, what is birds, what are houses, what are chalk, what is cheese? Like he's just, trying to break down what's the world like. What is God's plan, I don't know much.
I only know that you must sing.
Tony, I don't know much, but you must sing. It's almost an American trilogy kind of feel to it. And the dancing girls are all coming on wearing very ornate and very, very flashy gear now. This is the big crescendo at the end. If it was like clips, like the clips of the Eurovision and clips of different parts of his life and that kind of thing, that would be good. I like stuff like that. There's a really funny one I'm trying to think of the name of with Simon Day in it, where he does that for prog rock. He's in a band called Thrush. I can't remember what it's called. What the character's called. But that works better because it's just intercutting lots of clips of his career. That's obviously a fictional career, kind of like Spinal Tap. If this was like Spinal Tap, then I think it would work. That would be my thing. And that's it. It's over. Yeah. Wow. And he literally walked off one way and then turned around and awkwardly walked off in the other direction. So, I don't know. I think maybe if it was a bit more like Spinal Tap, he could certainly revisit it and do it like that. I think that would work. I don't know if there is any other Tony Ferrino content available. Don't think he did a lot of it. And sometimes he did it just as an extra part on his live show. Like I think it's called Steve Coogan, the man who thinks he's it. So yeah, so there we are. Tony Ferrino Phenomenon. Oh, Phenomenon. What do you think of it? Did you enjoy it? What's your favorite Steve Coogan thing? Like, for me, that's like, it's not terrible because everything he does is pretty good, but I think I would rather watch most other things he's done. I wasn't a massive fan of Saxondale. Coogan's run I liked. Paul Carter I thought was okay. Anything like that, Paul Carter, it just reminds me of people around Greater Manchester that I know, so I can't can't connect with it in a way that's like, oh, this is funny. Because I'm just like, yeah, he's not too far away from some idiots that I know. So yeah, Steve Coogan, Tony Ferrino. We've ticked it off the list. What do you think about it? I know I've already asked you. I'm going to ask you again. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this with me. Let me know if there's other comedic things that you want me to have a look at. Should we do a watch party of Spinal Tap or something along those lines? Connor for Real or Lonely Island stuff. Those are always good. Or even Tenacious D, something along those lines. Okay, I enjoyed it. Peace out. Peace out. Yeah, it's because we're talking Connor for Real. Or even Josie and the Pussycats, that had a really good. I like Fake Bands. There's some really funny stuff in that. There's De Jour in that one. Anyway, I'm starting to digress and go into other areas. Be careful out there. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll speak to you soon.